See, the rain is nice, but gee, I don't really like getting wet. What in the world? No, I went under the awning. It's still raining. Why is it still raining? I did what I was supposed to. That's not fair.
I'm trying to conceptualize what it means to feel like you're doing everything right, but it's still raining. Because I try to be an objective person, and I know that doing everything right is subjective. There's always something better you can do. There's always more skills you can learn. There's always something to learn, to train, to be better at, something to aspire to. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And so if you just kind of bog yourself down in this thinking that like, oh, I deserved something else, or it should have worked out because I did A, B, A, B, and it didn't, you're setting yourself up for a sense of entitlement, which is not always a bad thing. But a lot of times entitlement is just this thing that eats away at you. It doesn't activate anything positive inside of you. It just eats you up like a form of resentment that just is turned on yourself. I feel entitled to this thing, and it becomes disempowerment, and it becomes anger, which eventually becomes depression, because knowing what you deserve a lot of times should wake you up and inspire you to do something different. But if you're going in the angle of like entitlement, a lot of times you're thinking of what other people owe you, and you can't control other people, you can't control the weather. And so all of that, but also humanity for myself. And it's like, God, I have such big feelings, and I don't even know if I should share them so publicly, because I don't know, having big feelings and being a human being is not professional. And I don't know, but it's like, dude, I just went through an 8-week process for a job in a company that I thought was super cool. And I mean, I still think it's super cool, but it's like, oh my God, it was such a long process of hope and anxiety and wondering what's going to happen next. It's that thing. It's this thing of like, it's hope. Hope is a freaking drug. I think I've had this conversation in a different context before where I said, faith is okay, but hope is crazy, because a lot of time hope is an anticipation of a very specific outcome, and faith is more like, I know something broad is going to work out. But hope is like, my hope is that I get this very specific thing, and the truth is that we can't promise certain outcomes. And I had some hope get into my veins a little during this process because it was going so well. And at the end of it, they said I was a great fit, would love to have me, but they ultimately can't prioritize hiring for that role right now. There's some other things they need to bring into account, which that's real. That's something to think about. It kind of brought me back to the place that I have been when it comes to like my career. Let's be vulnerable here. And so I've mostly been a freelancer over the last 4 years. And so I look for projects like on Upwork. I don't do Fiverr. Upwork, a lot of things will come to me through LinkedIn. I'll look through staffing agency pages. And sometimes people get referred to me from past clients, which is always super cool. But the thing about freelancing is that it's so unpredictable. And you're always working. Can we state that? If you get a gig, you're like, yay, I have a gig, but it's usually part-time in some capacity, or it's limited in scope of how long you'll be able to do it. So it's like a 3-month long project. And so you only have 3 months of work. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to be actively looking for your next project. And so you're either always working on the project you have, or you're looking for your next project, and then often crafting pitches, and then also keeping up relations with your past clients. You're doing your tax. It's so much. And so it's not, if you like contracting and you want to be a contractor, I say go for it, experience it. But what I'm saying is that after 4 long years of doing it, it's not my favorite thing. I am very thankful for being able to have some kind of income, right? It really is my contract work for marketing. The little money I make from ad share on various platforms, and people buying my book, right? And so it's such a headache, and I want to be a grown up. I want to be able to plan my finances. I want to be able to plan my financial future. So start looking into jobs. And every time I get back in that scope, It is the same thing. Either nothing, 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 then nothing. And it's like, why are we doing this? It's one thing to get nothing back, but it's another when you do get into an interview process and I hate to say it, and I don't want to focus on like, this one experience that just happened, but like in general, ghosting is just like a primary form of communication for most in recruiting right now. What the fuck is that? Can I say that? That's why are you doing that? Just tell people it's not them. Just tell people you've gone in a different direction. It's not hard, dude. Especially someone you've had conversations with, and especially like recruiting agency people. I get it. I totally get it. They pass the thing on to the client and they don't know what happens, but can we not add into the workflow to check on what happens? Because a lot of times recruiters, and maybe it's just the ones that I work with, they'll call me up and like, hey, I'm sending your thing over to the employer today. You can expect to hear from them by Thursday or something like that. And they're like, be available, da da da. And they will actively ask you to rearrange your schedule to wait for these calls. And then it doesn't come. Cool. You follow up with the recruiter, nothing. Hello, are you still? Tell people something. But I guess coming back to like high level thing, damn, you do all the stuff and the things, and then it's still raining. I went to college twice. Nobody made me do it. People get so angry when you tell them you went to college. I went to college, not necessarily just because I thought it was the only way I could get a job, even though it totally was taught to my generation that that's the only way you can get a job is if you go to college. And not just my generation. I am a Black woman from the deep South. And so your demographics, where you grow up from, what your parents have, that also affects your trajectory and what rooms that you are allowed to be in. And some of the only ways you can overcome some of that is by getting a little golden ticket education thing, which sometimes it does backfire on me being a Black woman because I don't know. I see the looks on people's faces sometimes when I tell them I have a master's and it comes out that they don't. People feel weird. Am I allowed to say that? I've noticed that sometimes people in professional spaces feel weird about me when I have credentials that they don't because they look at me, they look at my demographics, and they don't think that I'm supposed to be in what they consider higher places, but they are in higher places even with all the work that I've done. And so it's like, you don't have to feel any threat by me because I haven't taken up any ground. I haven't taken any ground away from you. You're safe. You're fine. And so it's like I went to college because I was genuinely interested in education, as a lot of people that follow me know, especially like on Instagram where I'm constantly running my mouth. I love information. There's always a book within reach of me. Sometimes I go to Barnes and Noble just to pick out something from the bestseller shelf just to experiment and see what it says. I love information. I take online classes all the time. Course C, edX, my jam. I love me a free course. I love learning. And so, of course, I wanted to go to college after school to learn more about the subject of my interest, the thing that I wanted to have a career in. And so it wasn't just, I felt like I was supposed to go to college, so I did. But I did go to college. And I was told, like, this is how you become successful. And I didn't just go to college. I networked. I joined business societies. I went to all the stuff and the things. I went and I got my graduate degree. I did the same thing. And I kept in touch with these networks, all the stuff and the things. And now I can't even get a call back. And no, yeah, I know I'm not entitled to anything, but God, that fucking sucks. Am I allowed to say that it sucks? Am I allowed to say like, oh my God, I did all the stuff and the things? I'm not entitled. I would just like to know that what I do matters, that it can be measured in a way that I can count, because right now everything about life feels like there is no equal output to an input. You can work really, really hard and not get a job. You can work really, 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 really hard on your social media and it not blow up. Everything is work harder, but there's no equivalence these days. In fact, as somebody who does social media almost relatively full time, I can tell you like some of my biggest videos were just flukes. A wimp. Videos, especially the ones that had the most monetary gain attached to it, just random things that I thought about in 30 seconds that I could not have planned for. And it's cute and that's funny, but it's like, I hate existing in a world where I feel like I cannot measure the impact of my input. That's horrible. And then also, if you layer in how everybody feels about dating, I'm not actively dating, but I hear the conversations that people are having. I'm happily single. I hear you and I feel you. And I am single because I understand what you're going. I can't handle that level of unpredictability because it is true what people are saying. You can put all this effort into being the best person you can be, being the best partner you can be, showing up, trying to be healthy, and it doesn't guarantee anything. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. People don't owe you their bodies and their commitment just because you showed up in a certain way. But I guess my point is, like, everything is so crazy unstable right now, and it's like the worst fucking vibe. It's the worst vibe. And it's like, gosh, that's crazy. 8 weeks of my life. And you know what? We're just not hiring for this role right now. And it's like, what can you do? What can you do? There's no ABA combination that's going to get you a job. There's no ABAA combination that's going to get you steady social media views. There's no ABAA conversation that's going to get you the love of your life or a healthy relationship. There's no ABAA thing. Everything is just shake a fucking crystal ball and see what happens. And that is maddening. Again, nobody's saying anybody's entitled to blood. We're saying, can we just practice a little humanity and talk about how that sucks? It's because, like, confidence and the ability to feel good about life really does come from the ability to make plans. It's hard to feel like you have purpose if you can't make a plan, and you can make a beautiful plan and everything just goes to right? And then here comes the hurricane. Then here comes the whatever. It's hard to exist in a world where it just feels like everything is out of your command. And this video is just holding space for those big feelings today, I guess. I did everything right and it is still raining. I did my Indian dance and it's still raining. I did all the stuff and all the things, and I am still the place where people told me you would never be if you did all the stuff and the things. In a perfect world, you just keep rolling with the punches, but it's like, I don't know what punch to roll with because you're telling me that it's all maybe random. It's up to what, a god, a randomizer, a tarot deck. There's no meaning. And then you ask, why is the world the way it is today? Because people don't feel like they have any control. And there are small things that you can create control through. And I talk about this a lot. And so I was talking about the life pivot things. Here's how you pivot. Here's how you make life strategies. Because I talked about when I get in my weird bag of depression and everything feels out of control, I like to play The Sims with myself by making an aspiration list of things I can control. And so, like, I'll create a video game for myself to achieve different levels and titles and create my own hierarchy through these things. Like, hey, today you get a point if you go for a walk in the so-and-so square, and you get another point if you go watch the free movie showing on the lawn at so-and-so. And I'm racking up these points, giving my brain dopamine, right, to make myself feel important, which sounds silly, but it's like everybody does it. When somebody creates a corporation, they create titles, they're making that shit up. When we created the cabinet for the United States, the people who will rule it, that shit's made up. Everything that is important is made up, right? So why the fuck can I make up what makes me feel important, right? People just go join a church and get a leadership role within the church to make them feel important, but that shit's made up. Or maybe you become a player of Dragons and Dungeons, is that the right thing? And you get the Lord, Master, whoever level, and that is what made up, but it's a sense of importance that gives you an attachment to this world. And so sometimes I make shit up to give myself a sense of control and purpose in this world. And that's nice, but it's supposed to be an interim. And I need the next thing to happen. And it was a pivot because I was like, well, maybe if I just took like time off and just saved up the money I had from some of my contract gigs and just invested everything into social media, which I almost threw up saying that, oh my God, there's nothing more unpredictable than media and social media right now. Oh my God, like, Virgo guys, I cannot, like, what? Oh, it's like, I'm gonna invest all my money into crypto. Oh, that's what it sounds like, but we're gonna go with it for the sake of the video. So like, what if I just took some time off and just went all into social media or just all into my art? Okay, that's a more confident statement. And I thought about that too back when I was applying for residencies and I got in. Can I say that? If you made it this far in this rant video, can you? I got into 4 different artist residencies this year, but I couldn't go because so much was happening. Like my sibling was my nephew, who is like my sibling, my younger brother, my nibbling. He shot like 3 times in a carjacking and like it was weird. Okay. And I was like, I can't go away and I don't want to go away. And I was like being in public and all that stuff. So I had a major trauma this year. So got into a lot of artist residencies and that was nice. And so maybe that was a sign that I need to keep working on the artist residencies. And maybe I no publisher interested in my book, but maybe I just need to invest myself in my art by proxy of that, my social media, and just say fuck it, delete LinkedIn, delete my degree, I guess, delete my entire resume outside of my art and just focus on that because I can control my output of art and my output on social media. I can't control what happens from that, but I just need something in my life that I don't know, somebody just can't take away from me and tell me that it doesn't mean anything and it doesn't have value. And that's what applying for jobs feels like. And I don't know, not worrying about the rent or the money or the future of your rent or money is a privilege. And I don't know that I have that, but faith instead of hope, I guess. That like go all the fuck in and see what happens, because there's a part of me that has to believe that it's a form of redirection. Because like I can't just who the fuck stays in a holding pattern for 4 years, and I don't want to hear no biblical shit because we're like yeah, so 40 we're not living that long anymore. But you know like, this has to be more meaningful, or I feel the need to make this more meaningful. I have to do that for myself in some kind of way. And so I guess if you're out there and you feel the same way, I want to encourage you and I want to tell you that I feel you and that you're allowed to make space for how bad these fucking feelings feel because they do feel bad. You don't need to immediately jump into like hope again because hope is lethal. But I would like to give you a little faith that if you keep looking for the pivot, if you keep looking for little opportunities that feel good, it's possible something can come from it. Maybe it's just we can't keep focusing on what's not working. We cannot keep focusing on what does not want us. We cannot keep focusing on the path that just doesn't want to be walked. I don't know what's here where we're stuck. I don't know what's here, but maybe it's time to look around. Like, why are we here? What can we do with these rocks? Can we start a fire with some sticks? What can we do with this grass? That's a great tree. Can we learn how to like tree and build something up there? I don't know how to build a tree, but I mean, we have time because we're stranded right here. So maybe let's just see what we can do right here, right? And that's the encouragement for you. But if you'd like to do the life pivots thing with me, I'll link it below because that was my way of bridging the gap between my marketing experience and the fact that I guess I'm an inspirational speaker on the internet. That instead of pitching product ideas for people, which if you want to do that with me, I guess I'll link my consultations for business owners who need like more strategy. I do that. But it's like, what if I pitched life angles for people who just didn't know what else to do? Like, you tell me your story, and I tell you where I see a pattern or a theme or an opportunity for your life, which is basically what I do. It's like, oh, with the product stuff, I'm like, oh, the product positioning, here's what you wanted to do, here's how you want to sell it to. Strategy, bada boom, bada bing. So it's like, there has to be some marriage there. But other than that, I mean, it didn't bum you out too bad. Likes and let me know your thoughts below. And I'll see you in the next one, I suppose.